Before we get into stuff, I'm gonna have some brief introductions here. I'm Luke. I'm just a guy who moved out to a new city for the first time from home and starting fresh, trying to build a intentional life. I started making videos like this because I want to keep myself accountable to really living intentionally and thinking through what I do, and also to be able to share this with people who may be on similar journeys to me and maybe able to take some from the lessons that I've learned, the good things that I do and the bad. If you're new to the channel, I don't have many videos up, so most of you probably will be, unless you're returning people. Most of my videos so far have basically been very similar to this. It's just me basically ranting to my camera at various places, just talking about what I've been thinking about, really. I've been told by multiple people, actually, that I should start doing like a podcast because it's very, very similar to what I've already been doing, and it's a format that's really conducive to this. For a while, I was like, okay, whatever, doing a podcast alone kind of feels a little weird. There were a few things that really changed my mind about that. For one, it was just the magnitude of the amount of people that were saying this and the randomness of it. I would just be talking with people that I've never really met before, and they're like, have you ever considered doing a podcast? Maybe it's something in like the tone of my voice or the pattern of my speech or something like that, but I guess people just I don't know if people like listening to me. I know there's a lot of people who find me irritating as well, so I don't know. But I also discovered some people nowadays that are doing a lot of podcasts just by themselves and getting a lot of good responses, because I don't want to just be putting out stuff if it is completely nobody is going to watch it. One of those is Brittany Broski, who I just think is awesome. She is just amazing. And the fact that she does all of this stuff mostly by herself with the Broski Report and stuff, the Broski Report, makes me very happy. So I thought I could add into this. But yeah, I basically just want to talk about my life and what's going on. Part of it is I want to keep people who actually know me informed about what I'm doing, because as we're going to get into later, I am a chronically offline person, and often I'll just go months on end without reaching out to people, and they're just like, are you dead? What happened? So giving them a space where they might be able to pop in every few months and just listen to an episode and see what's going on in my life is really valuable to me. But I also really want to be able to deep dive into some of the things that I've done to improve my life, or try to at least, and the things that I'm currently trying to do to really get my life in balance, because I'm trying out a lot of things, and the more that I talk with people and meet people, the more that I realize how odd my life is in a lot of ways, and I don't know. So I'd like to share that with people. Basically, just imagine, like I said, you're catching up with a friend who you haven't talked with in a few months, and they happen to be extremely talkative. Yeah, that's basically what this is going to be, probably. So I hope you stick around, and if you don't, that's fine. A lot of people hate my guts, and that's perfectly all right. So let's get into the meat of this discussion. First off, a lot of people think I'm weird, and not necessarily in a bad way. Plenty of people think that I'm weird in a very bad way, but a lot of people actually think I'm kind of weird in a good way, I really hope. The classic response that I get is like, what is different about you? Like, what is wrong with you? There's a lot of different things that I think chalk up to that. But the one thing that I always try and hammer in is that most of my differences are about choices that I've made, not about me personally or the talents that I have or anything like that. I was a pretty ordinary child, and I think in a lot of ways, I'm just a very ordinary person. And the more that I've grown up, I've come to realize that and embrace it. And that the only real differences about me are the choices that I've made, the places that I've put, and the things that I choose to do with my time. There are, like I said, a lot of different things that could fit into this category of reasons why I come off a little bit different or my life is a little different. But I think one of the biggest things nowadays is my abstinence from social media. I have never gotten into social media. I was very intentional about that. Well, first, my parents were very intentional about that. They did not want me on these things for my own safety and for my own growth as a child. And I am eternally grateful for that, that they kept me from those things for a very long time. But there came a point whenever I was about 14 or 15, whenever they basically gave me the choice. And they were like, okay, if you want to, this is your time where you can. And I chose no. I don't want to be on social media. And I think there was a variety of reasons why I chose to abstain. First of all, it could be chalked up to indoctrination, because I'd been told by people that I trust my whole life that it's bad and that I should not participate in it. But part of it is because I was very engulfed in my own life and the things that I was doing, which we'll get into. I had my own problems that I was dealing with, and I just didn't feel like that was something that I needed to add on. As time has gone on, I am extremely happy with my decision. I have never regretted not getting on social media. Not for a second. And I think there's two main reasons for this. One is envy. I am an extremely envious person. Extremely. I have always looked at other people, whether they be real or not, fiction or not, and always been like, damn, I want to be that guy. And it's really been frustrating for me my whole life, because it just makes this constant unsatisfaction with who I am and where I'm at. And the briefest interactions with social media that I've had just ramped this up so much. I had about probably 6 months or so, where I was on Be Real, which I'm sure you guys know about it. If you don't, it's you take a picture every day, and you get to see all your friends' pictures every day, and it's supposed to be a very like realism thing. But there were a few things, design choices of the app, that I think really, really screwed that up. The biggest thing is that you can take your picture whenever you want. It just shows if you don't take it in the first like 60 seconds of you getting the notification. What this would cause is me, and I think everybody, saving the picture for whenever you were doing something interesting that day. And so even though the app was trying to circumvent the usual issues with social media platforms, it still fell in that trap. And we had the exact same things of people only showing the best moments of their life and the best parts of their life and making everybody else feel horrible. And so I uninstalled it, because I was like, screw this. I know everybody else is just as unhappy as I am. I don't need to feel like this. So I deleted it, I uninstalled it, and immediately I started feeling a lot better. So that's kind of my journey in it. And from talking with people who have been in social media for a long time, that is just amplified so much by these platforms. But I hear a lot of people who don't even use social media to catch up with people. Like, they don't look at the posts, they don't look at anything. And this gets into the second problem that I think is really, really apparent. And that is the addiction of social media. What I call like the time wasting element of it. This is like Reels, TikTok, Shorts, all these things. I think they're called waterfall apps, where it just keeps on going. The content just keeps on coming in. And you have those classic, I'm not going to get into it, the dopamine hits, the whatever. It's the same thing that slot machines use, this gambling thing. There's been a lot of studies, whatever. I'm not here for studies, all right? I don't trust science. But I do trust the actual empirical evidence that I see in the people that I know. And the fact that I've known plenty of people who spend 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours a day on these things, and what a negative impact that has on them personally in their life, and they just hate it. One of the things about addiction that I've noticed is that it causes self-loathing so much. And I think self-loathing is one of those things that is just so common nowadays and is so damaging. If you are consistently being a person that you hate, your whole life is going to be just horrible. And these apps are really, I think, designed in this addiction element and the envy element to make you hate yourself and hate your life, Because if you feel like that, then you go to the crack, you go to there to escape and to feel better about your life. This, I think, flows directly into what I want to talk about next, which is that all you guys who use social media may be hearing me and think, wow, this dude is really on a high horse. He's so much better than us in every single way. And that is not what I want to get across, all right? I am grateful for the decisions that I've made, and I do think that my abstinence from it has greatly put me at an advantage that a lot of people don't. But this isn't because I'm just this amazing, perfect person. It's because of the choices that I've made, choices that you yourself can make as well. So I'm no different than you. I'm no different than you also in the way that I'm not immune to envy and addiction. Social media is not an exclusive, it doesn't have the exclusive rights to these human frailties. I have plenty of envy with people in my regular life. Or like I said, in like TV shows, which I still take part in. It is always there. YouTube. I don't put YouTube, besides the shorts, in the category of traditional social media. I think that everybody has pretty much decided on that. All of that, I have the same envy problem. I'm not satisfied with who I am and where I'm at in my life. And oftentimes I do feel like I am always looking at people and being like, man, I wanna have a life that these people do. So I'm not immune from that. I want to get that across. And same with the distraction addiction. I have, like I said, I watch shows, I watch movies, I watch YouTube. I try to keep my YouTube to pretty much my subscriptions, so it's kind of hard to get addicted to that since it's just, there's not a ton of new content. I can get into that in a future thing. But I am not immune to this. I waste way too much time just consuming things like this. And I hate it. I have a bit of that self-loathing that happens whenever you just see yourself from a third-person point of view. And it's like, what the? Ew. That is a gross human being. So I just really want to get that across. I am not immune to these things. We are in the same boat. I might be a little bit further along than you, but that doesn't mean that you can't catch up, and it doesn't mean that we're not both in this together. This, though, I think leads into something that is, I think, extremely key to this whole discussion that I've really come to understand. And this is, once again, wisdom that I've heard from a lot of people who are way smarter than I am, way further along than I am, and I'm just passing it along. These problems that I'm talking about, specifically envy and distraction addictions, they're not a problem with social media exclusively. Does social media amplify these things? Does it bring out these horrible qualities in humans? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean that they weren't here already. Humans are intrinsically broken. I believe that. Humans also have a great amount of potential. I also believe that. They have a lot of good. They have a lot of bad. We are broken, which means that we have some whole parts, right? My point with this is that even if you delete every single social media app, you will not be immune from these things because you're still human. They are in every part of life. If you get rid of all technology, if you go back to the 1890s before all of these things, you know, if you move to Portland where the dream of the 90s is alive, that's a deep cut. You will not be immune to these things. And that's the point that I'm trying to get across. And it really feeds back into what I was saying before, of that I'm not immune from these things because the problem of envy and distractions is an intrinsically human reality. And that is a scary thing to realize. That no matter how far you run, no matter how many apps you get, no matter how polished and perfect your routine is in your life, you can be the most perfect human being. And you will still have these issues. And to me, that can be really discouraging and make me want to just say, screw it all. Okay, I can't do this. If I'm going to have these problems no matter what, might as well just take part in these social medias, right? I think the faulty reasoning in that is quite apparent just on its own. So I won't get into it. But this is something that has been really important and I think, freeing for me. Realizing that the problem is with us, not with these external tools. It should not make us feel trapped. It should instead make us feel empowered. That's how I see it. Because we as humans, we are, yes, we're bound to our nature. Yes. But we can still make choices. We can still change. And so whenever you realize that these problems are with us, that it is a personal problem that we have to fight with for the rest of our lives, we can take that on and say, okay, then I give up. It's worthless. It's a worthless fight. Or we can say, challenge accepted. Let's do this thing and get in the ring and just beat this thing down relentlessly. To me, that is life, isn't it? Life is constant battle, constant war. And the second that you say, if the war never ends, why are we fighting it? Then you lose. You can only win the war if you just keep on fighting it. Maybe that's a little bit too, whatever, theoretical or philosophical or whatever for some of you guys. That's perfectly fine. But that's really how I see it, is that we're constantly fighting, and we need to embrace that reality and realize that that is what it means to be human, is to be fighting. That's what I think. So, change is in our hands, and that is freeing and that is empowering. But as I said, it is also extremely discouraging, because once you realize that change is in our hands, you realize how difficult it is. I have had a lot of fights and battles with different things in my life. For one, I used to be a extremely shy and insecure introvert, which every time that I tell somebody in this sort of context, whenever I'm talking like this, they always chuckle their freaking brains out, because they hear me be able to talk coherently in sentences like this and seem relatively confident in myself. I'm gonna say that. Just gonna put that out there. Whatever. They don't really suspect that. And I will say that it has been a constant struggle for a very, very long time, not giving into the insecurities and the self-doubt and the constant feeling that I'm not enough and that I'm weird and that I'm awkward and that people constantly think that I'm just a burden. Those things have been constantly racking my mind. And I hope my honesty here can come through to some of you guys if you've battled with these things and really struggled with these things as well. So what I'm trying to say is that it's not easy. It's extremely difficult to change. That should not be downplayed. I don't want to come across saying, you can change, you have freedom, and saying, this is just easy. If you want to be different, just be different. That's not what I'm trying to say. There's a certain sense in which, yeah, if you want to change, start changing. But it is a slow and painful process to do this. It takes waking up every single day, looking yourself in the mirror, and saying, I'm a fighter. One of the greatest examples of this, I'm going to just shout this out, is my mother. She was, she struggled a lot with just getting upset with us kids. No fault to her. We were irritating children. Me specifically. There is no other word than to describe me as a child as a pure and utter jackass, all right? There is no other word. Forgive my swearing, but that's what I was. Still am a little bit. And I remember seeing her go through this fight every single day. She would use this term as whenever she would yell at us or get upset with us, she would stop. She would ask for our forgiveness, and she would say, I am not a yeller. I'm not a yelling person. And that was her looking herself in the mirror and saying, I'm a fighter. Every single day. Every single day. And I've seen that. And now, my mother is nothing but kind to us. And there may be a few moments of upset and everything like that, of course. But no, but she's truly seen a lot of change. And she's not the only example. I've seen plenty of people in my life that I can bring out, but that's the most relevant because I really got to see that as a child. And like I said, I'm extremely, extremely grateful for that as I've grown up. And just for you to know, I will run this part by her before I post this, all right? I'm not just gonna do it without her permission because, you know, whatever. I respect her privacy and me not sharing that story if she's not okay with it. So if it made it through, she gave me the A-OK. So if you're fighting, if you are trying to change, that means you have it in you. If you are fighting and you want to change and you are actively pursuing it, that is enough hope for you to keep going. Even if you're not getting results, even if you're just in a cycle and you're stuck in it. The fact that you recognize that you are and that you don't want to be in it anymore is step one. And that is huge. That is huge. Anyways, we have gone a long way from initial thoughts on social media and everything like that, but I think it's all relevant. That's why I say this thing. But yeah, one expectation as well for you guys, if you've made it through this far, most episodes will probably be like this. Like I said, it is a extremely talkable friend who doesn't know how to shut up. That is me. So I'm going to be ranting, I'm going to be going all sorts of things. In fact, I haven't even decided on the branding for this show, but I think I may have ranting as a part of it because I think it tracks with the style of everything. So I hope all of that was really, really helpful for you. If not, that's perfectly all right. I am just a immature little man who's trying to figure this stuff out on his own as well. So, but I really, really do hope that some of this would be helpful and help you along. And if it is, please let me know. Send me a message, email, whatever. I don't know. However I set that up, let me know how you're changing. And if you find some progress and if you need some encouragement, I'm always here. My door is always open. So, thank you for listening. I know that this episode may be longer or shorter, I don't know, than my usual ones, but this pace feels about right for me to be able to realistically do. As I said, more updates will be coming soon. I have some great ideas for some stuff, and really it's just things that are going on in my life that I want to talk about, that I want to bring, because I think that is really a fun part for me, is to be able to share what I'm going through and make it a lot more personal, and I think that can be more applicable to people as well. So yeah, I really hope you enjoy this, and to give you a little flavor of what's to come, just to give you an idea of the things that I do ballroom dancing. I've just started doing improv classes. I am extremely passionate about home design, about health, about exercise, all things that I want to talk about in due time. But I thought this would be a good place to start, a good approachable thing for everybody. So I really appreciate you spending your time here, wherever it was, on a commute or just working her out, or I don't know. I don't know how you guys will ingest this, but I sure do appreciate you spending your time with me. So I will catch you on the flip side, home slice. Yeah, I'm going with that.